All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. I'm Rachel Rosen, and I'm really excited to be back with you all for this Thursday Food for Thought. Before we jump in, I just want to say that I hope and trust that you're staying safe and healthy during these intense times. Sending a lot of love to everyone in our community, especially these are just unprecedented, intense times, and they're increasingly so. And so I just want to check in on a human level and say, I feel very grateful to be in community with the Spark family and have really appreciated all the thoughts and connections and reflections and comments based on previous Food for Thought sessions. So I'm really happy to be back here with Malaika Salaam. Welcome back, Malaika.
Thank you. Thank you. I am happy once again to be back. Super appreciative this week of this work that we continue to do and having a space to continue to work through it and like look at it on the continuum, because one of the things that I have absolutely learned from sharing spaces with you is the benefit of learning in public. That's a big piece, because it's not just coming into conversation and talking, but there are takeaways from these conversations that I am able to practically apply to my life, and I am able to think through things and see things and take action on things. And this space provides a place for that to spark. I mean, really, it's what does it spark for you? This is what it sparked for me, and this is what it looks like in real time and real action. So once again, grateful to be back this week.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's my commitment to everybody in the Spark community and to the community at large, is to continue to learn in public and to continue to show up. I don't have all the answers. I'll always be a work in progress, but what I know for sure is that when we connect with each other and when we make meaning with each other and we grapple with hard conversations and hard, complex topics together, we move forward together. And I think the only way we can do that is by learning in public, because no one has all the answers and there's no roadmap to this thing. And so my commitment is to the work of equity work, the work of anti-racism work, and the work of getting better and doing better every day after the next day, you know? And so the only way I learn is by doing. So let's jump in and get into this week's topic. We've had a great series around the wellness wheel these past, I think it's been almost, is it 5 or 6? We've been here for a minute every Thursday.
We're about so the wellness wheel that I've been referencing has 7 components. So yeah, we're at like week 6.
That's right. This is our sixth week. That's right. Okay. Yeah. So the thing that we're going to focus on, I'm just going to turn it over to you, Malaika, to frame up kind of where we've been and what we're going to dig into today, if that's cool with you.
Okay. So we have talked about intellectual wellness and how to engage in conversation. Again, learning in public, the importance of being able to ask questions, to not ask the question with the intent of the other person doing the work for you, but with that commitment to being willing to do the work, to doing the learning. We've talked about emotional wellness, spiritual wellness, physical wellness, social wellness. And so this week we are turning our view towards environmental wellness. And so environmental wellness is, again, one of the things that have happened as a result of this conversation is, for me, redefining language. So moving away from just self-care and this broader kind of thought about, okay, so environmental wellness is recycling and environmental wellness is decluttering, but really what's underneath that? What is the deeper layer of self-care around environmental wellness? And so that looks like, what is your environment? What does it represent? So I'm very deliberate this week about being in the spirit room. So this is the green space in our house. This is where we have our familial altars, obviously lots and lots of plants. Most of these plants came in those little like 99-cent things and have grown to this because this for me is sacred space. This is space for me this is my sanctuary. This is space for me to do work. And it's set up this way on purpose. So yeah, there's like library, there's a tea nook, there's all of the things that I need to be in a space to do whatever work that I need to do. So whether it's healing work, whether it's nurturing work, whether it's nourishing work, in this space, I feel safe and I feel capable. And that's sacred to me, because everything outside of this space, this particular room in my house, but my house in general, when I step outside of this house, it is no longer sacred, because that is the world at large and it doesn't belong to just me, and I don't have the ability to control all of the factors in that space.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I just appreciate you for even the lens that you have around care for self, right? And for always pushing me to think about it in a deeper way. And I think the thing that has been so true and important for me in this series is to remember this is about sustaining the anti-racism work and the movement for Black Lives Matter, the movement for racial equity, the movement for racial justice. We need to sustain the momentum, and the only way to sustain the momentum is to have care for ourselves and to take pauses and to understand what does wellness look like, because we know when you're sick, you're not at your best, and when you're depleted, you're not at your best. And so I think I just want to appreciate you for bringing the wellness wheel and the nuance to this conversation about care for self, because it really is, it's taught me a lot about the layers of care and the layers of wellness that sometimes we don't oftentimes think about. And the environmental wellness piece and the space piece, I think, is particularly interesting and complex and important for us to talk about, because there's the physical space and then there's the actual energetic space, the places and spaces that we're actually taking up when it comes to the movement for anti-racism and racial equity and racial justice. And so I wonder what, if we could dig in just a little bit to a couple of the layers of the physical realm, right? So like the office that we're staying in, or the, the outdoor spaces, the physical spaces, to think about why is it important, and how sometimes, for me at least, as a former teacher, former school leader, sometimes it felt like a luxury to like slow down and organize and get things in a space that really felt good to me, because there were always fires to put out. There were always things to do. And my habit that I had to reframe was me putting others before myself. So I think there's something deep here in the space around like, how much do people give themselves permission to think about the spaces that they're creating and also taking up,
Yeah, I think that's I think that is super important, especially so there's this moment early on in the Spark happy hour, we were talking, and I was saying when I couldn't find soft spaces to land, I created my own. And it was, just as things were really starting to escalate in the world. And so I felt this shift happening, and it was like, where can I go to have these conversations? What space is available to me? And I had to realize, and I had to be honest, and I had to give myself permission to say that I felt unsafe in the world, because that was a big thing. Like, in the whole world, like, you feel unsafe when you walk out of your door. And it was absolutely a moment of clarity for me to say, I do feel unsafe when I walk out of my door. And when I walk out of my door, I am conscious to look for soft spaces to land in all of this, and not always just having to come back kind of to home base. So like the Spark Happy Hour has represented that, right? It's a space where we have agreements in this container that we can come and talk about these things. And so sometimes we are talking about something as innocuous as our favorite deodorants and Bomba socks. But also, what that represents for us in terms of comfort and creating sacred spaces for ourselves and giving ourselves permission to create the spaces that we need when they are not available to us, recognizing them and saying, this is not available, this doesn't exist for me. And because I know that this doesn't exist for me, now I have some thought about what it looks like and what I want and what I need to do to curate that for myself.
And I think that's the food for thought for this week, is really giving ourselves permission to start, and to the invitation to think about what are the current spaces that I am operating in, right? So whether I have the agency and capacity to create the space, what am I operating in? Am I working with some spaces, and this is in the physical space. So do I have plants in here? Do I have like sunflower, things that make me happy? Do I have reminders of my goals and my vision board that I look at every day? Like all the things that I've chosen to put in here. Do I have agency? Do I not? Right. So what do the physical spaces represent? And then if you get a deeper layer underneath that, I think that's when we get into the physical versus energetic spaces. Like what are the containers that I am a part of? And that's group dynamics, group activities, whether it's Zoom rooms or family dinners. Like what are the space, like the actual energetic conversational spaces that I'm in? And to what degree have I created some softness or influenced those containers, you know, because we all have choices. And I think sometimes it's really easy to be like, oh, well, I don't have an office. Like I could never do that. But you know, someone could get one small 99-cent plant. Like you got to start somewhere, right? And you may say, well, I don't have family dinners, but it's like, what is the current state, and then what are the small steps that we could take to have more agency and influence over those spaces? Is what I'm thinking about.
Yes, absolutely. What came up for me as you were saying that, what really, really struck me is kind of a full circle moment and going back to the 3 A's. So when we talk about physical space, what are the things that we can do to create the physical space? Next week we'll make the 5-year anniversary of me moving to Florida. I moved to Florida with my children in my 2000 Nissan Sentra with 3 $5 totes from Walmart. That's what I started with. That's what I started with when we got here.
Wow.
These plants started off in small 99-cent containers that I got from Walmart. I wanted to create a life that I didn't have to regularly escape from. The outside world is a place that I regularly had to escape from. Once I realized that, then I could also go into the outer world and define the spaces that were sacred and safe to me and that provided what I needed. Once I could recognize that. Physically, I did things to create that, but also energetically, seeking out my tribe, creating healthy boundaries, understanding that I didn't have to put a wall up to keep myself in and keep myself safe from others or to keep others out, but that I could have a fence, that I could build a border, and that fence functions in a way where there is an entrance and you can come in and there's a gate that allows you access, and here is what my healthy boundary looks like, and here's the breadth of that, but also being very clear that if you are not able to respect that where I've let you in to experience this, that the gate also functions to allow you a way to exit.
That's
so
deep.
so this is physical space and allowing people into my physical space, but this is also energetically, right? Understanding what my needs are and what that looks like physically. What are the things that I need to create a sacred space for myself, and energetically, what are the type of energies that I want to be engaged with that represent sacred space in my life.
There it is. I mean, I think the power of what you shared, especially when you made a choice, you know, to leave conditions that were causing you to feel like you constantly had to escape in a world that is already enough, you know? And so you made a choice to leave those conditions. And I think that that is leadership. That is having the strength and the courage to know I'm going to take this leap of faith and I can create my own space. We have the power. We have so much power to create spaces and to interrupt patterns, right? Like a lot of people always tell me, you know, oh, how do you facilitate conversations about race and not get triggered or not have the person pop off and da-da-da-da? Because I facilitate conversations every day, you know, and I'm like, I don't just go in there and let the conditions create me. I create conditions with care. I am very intentional about how I enter space and how I set some norms, because I would never just jump into a fire and be like, well, I'm here, let's talk, you know? So I think that's a really powerful insight. And I'm just thankful that you shared that example and that you like, look at the life that you've built, right? You're a living testament to the growth, like the physical and metaphorical and energetic and spiritual growth that's all around you with the plants. Like they're just it's all there. And it started with these teeny tiny seeds, you know, there's something else.
Yeah, I think for me, that's very complete this week. Like that's it. That's what it comes down to. The being deliberate, the giving ourselves permission, the clarity around understanding what it looks like physically and energetically.
Good. Okay. So that's it, y'all. That's your food for thought. The invitation again is to first take stock of the space that you take up. So just notice, just show up with curiosity and observe an observational hat. You know, what do I notice? What do I see? What's the space around me in all the different rooms and places that I'm in? And then to go a layer deeper and reflect deeper and deeper throughout this conversation with us, and let us know what this sparks for you. I think there's a real power in thinking about the energetic and the physical spaces, and we'd love to hear what this makes you think of and what you want to keep talking more about. So thank you. And thank you as always, Malaika, for sparking so much inspiration and just like meaning making for me. I'm so grateful for this space and for you and your presence in my life.
Thank you as well, Rachel. You know, the sentiment is exactly the same for me. I'm so appreciative. I'm so appreciative to have been invited in to share this space with you, because I don't always think of myself as having something to say. I'm just, you know, living my life and having my experience. But the work that I do and the reason why I do it is because I want people to know that they have these options and that these things are accessible to them. And so you having this commitment and you know, creating these spaces and holding these containers is so important for people to actually have places to access it. And it means the world to me to be a part of that conversation and to share these spaces with you. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. Much love, everyone. And we'll look forward to seeing hopefully a lot of you tomorrow at our pop-up. And until next week, take care, everyone. Be well. Much love.